Hello everyone and praise be to Jesus Christ. Without further ado, here is the continuation of the official and censored cosmology.
We had finished with Newton and his law of universal gravitation, thanks to a falling apple. Part 7, Foucault's pendulum. Meanwhile, the Frenchman Foucault provided irrefutable proof that the Earth is a planet that turns on itself. He builds a huge pendulum and swings it for a whole day. Over time, the pendulum changes its plane of oscillation, proving that the Earth rotates beneath the pendulum. The Church was definitively forced to abandon the theory of a round immobile Earth at the center of the universe. Part 8, Michelson and Morley, the ether enigma. A mathematician named James Maxwell has just discovered 4 equations that bear his name. These formulas only concern electricity and magnetism. But because of them, all physicists began to believe in a mysterious fluid that carried light. They gave it a name, ether. Or luminiferous ether. Please note that this ether is not at all the disinfectant that smells so strong and feels so cold when applied to the hand. No, it refers to the 5th element of the ancient Greeks. You can't feel it, it has no mass and no smell. It's an impalpable fluid, used only to transport light. Physicists deduce that if this ether exists, it must be immobile and fill the entire universe, since we can see all the stars. And as the Earth is thought to revolve around the Sun at the prodigious speed of 30 kilometers per second, it should be possible to detect an ether wind of that speed, 30 kilometers per second. 2 American scientists, Abraham Michelson and Edward Morley, built a device capable of detecting and measuring this wind, the interferometer. But when they switch it on, the device measures nothing or gives an aberrant result.
The whole world of physics is at a standstill, waiting for a genius to solve the ether enigma. In 1905, Einstein, a young employee of a Swiss patent office, solved the ether enigma and revolutionized physics by publishing 4 papers. And all this without holding a position at any university. And without the help of any laboratory. Quite simply, by using thought experiments. Paper and pencil. In the first paper, he presents experimental evidence that light is made up of small packets of energy he calls quanta. This was the beginning of a new branch of physics, quantum physics. In the third, he solves the ether enigma by founding another new theory, special relativity. It says, the ether is useless. Whether it exists or not is irrelevant. Why is that? Because the speed of light, around 300,000 kilometers per second, is the same in all frames of reference. A frame of reference is a system whose elements all have the same speed. For example, if you're at home, sitting on your sofa, your house, and you form frame of reference 0. If you're traveling in an airplane, you're in an 800 kilometers per hour reference frame. Well, this theory says that no matter how fast you go, light will always be 300,000 kilometers per second faster than you. Even if you're in a rocket traveling at 250,000 kilometers per second, the luminous quantum will overtake you with 300,000 kilometers per second more than you. Einstein deduced that the closer we get to this speed, the more space will shrink and time will expand. To calculate these changes in space and time, he uses 2 formulas known as Lorentz transformations. Hendrik Lorentz was a Dutch physicist who devised these formulas. Because Maxwell's equations changed form when an electric charge moved at constant speed. If you don't know what an electric charge is, that's okay. Just know for now that it exists. But the brave Lorentz didn't realize that this little mathematical tool was so important for physics. It was Albert Einstein who had the merit of recognizing the usefulness and importance of these transformations to our understanding of the universe. In his 4th paper, Einstein reveals one of the most beautiful formulas of all time, E equals mc squared. This means that energy and mass are equivalent. They are like 2 sides of the same coin. The energy contained in a mass is equal to that mass, multiplied by the speed of light, squared. Consequently, even the smallest objects contain a phenomenal amount of energy. 10. The Big Bang Theory. Special relativity only applied to objects moving at constant speed. It therefore had to be extended to accelerated displacements. This required extremely complicated calculations, but Einstein succeeded and came up with the equation of general relativity. It allowed Newton's law of gravitation to be described more accurately. Indeed, this theory asserts that mass has the uncanny power to bend space and time, as manifested by the curvature of light rays in the vicinity of stars or galaxies. So the star seen to the left of the Sun is not where man is looking at it. Its real position is behind the Sun, on the right. The illusion is due to the fact that in the vicinity of the Sun, the light rays of the white star are deflected, so that the man on the beach sees the star in the extension of their deflected trajectory. General relativity also predicted some strange things that were later confirmed. In particular, black holes. The Belgian priest-physicist Georges Lemaitre and the American Friedman discovered that this equation implied that the universe was continually expanding. If it expanded, it meant that in the past it was very small and hot, or even infinitely small and infinitely hot. There must therefore have been an initial moment when the universe burst forth in a kind of initial explosion. This explosion must have left a trace in the form of a particular kind of radiation. Radiation that was discovered by accident in the 60s. During a radio debate, someone mocked this theory, calling it the Big Bang. The name stuck. Finally, in 1958, NASA, the U.S. space agency, was created. We're in the middle of the Cold War, between the United States and the Soviet Union. It was a terrible dictatorship that had taken control of Russia since 1917, leaving millions dead and prisoners of conscience. The two countries engaged in a dangerous escalation of the nuclear arms race and space conquest. Every Soviet success worried the free world. Indeed, they had successfully launched the first satellite and the first man into space. But fortunately, in 1969, American Neil Armstrong became the first man on the moon. It was a veritable American festival in the cosmos. There was cooperation between the Soviets and Americans for long-duration stays in the 70s, followed by the space shuttles in the 80s. To which was added the space station in the 90s, thanks to cooperation with the Russians, Europeans, and Japanese. All this has given us ever more beautiful and spectacular images of the round Earth, thanks to the astronauts' spacewalks and satellites. Satellites that have also provided us with the GPS system, weather images, and the Internet. Those in the know are also learning that government agencies are more and more officially and frequently admitting to holding unexplained UFO images. Numerous big-budget science fiction films have succeeded in imprinting the image of an infinitely vast universe, in which our Earth is smaller than a speck of dust. All this confirms that Copernicus, Bruno, and Galileo were absolutely right, and that the Catholic Church was completely wrong. The Church is thus found guilty of forcing entire populations to accept a false scientific teaching, for which it had no competence. Guilty of threatening Copernicus, and of persecuting, condemning, and burning alive per Giordano Bruno. Guilty, finally, of taking poor Galileo to court, when all he was doing was his job as a researcher. A common thread runs through this official history of cosmology, that of humanity slowly awakening from ignorance, superstition, and religious submission, towards knowledge and freedom from all religions, especially that of the Catholic Church. But as I said at the beginning, almost all of the above is partially or completely false. That's all for now. In the next video, we'll take a look at the timeline associated with this cosmology and visit our mathematical ignorance in 4 steps. But you can find out all about it right away, if you understand French, by buying my book, La Vérité Immutable et l'erreur scandaleuse, on Amazon.fr for $25. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends.